Oh, thank you. Okay, so a few things before I get started. Some of you for the RCR, this is stuff that Aaron covered, I know. I will own up and tell you that I borrowed these slides from Aaron. I've done a lot of mentoring presentations, but he did a fantastic one. That said, I'm going to hit on the key points. There is a lot of text on these slides. When I upload them to Blackboard, I am going to condense and truncate it a lot to hit the key points. I left it as it is today so that if you want to read while I'm talking, you can, but I'm not going to read from the slide because all of you can do that. I'm just going to go ahead and chat about the key points of each slide. I also welcome you. This is a discussion, I hope. I think that we all learn better that way. Me standing up here talking to you for a while is everybody tunes out. I do it. I get it. So that is not what I want to do to everyone. So what we'll do is we'll go through this. If you have questions, you have comments, please, I encourage you to just speak up. This is a really inclusive learning environment. We're here to support each other. Hey, come on in. We're here to learn. If some of you may have more experience in some departments than others, that's fine. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just you're at a different point. So I really encourage all of you to remember that because we all had to start at the beginning at some point. Oh, that's okay. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind. So everybody's opinions, discussions, comments are welcome. One of the reasons I really wanted to talk about this is, so looking back, I've had quite a few mentors, but until I really started the BLAST program, I did not look at it, I guess, as analytically as I do now, or kind of with the same reflection I do now. I don't think that when I was in those relationships that I really appreciated what they were or was aware of them for what they were at the time. I think it was afterwards that I really understood it better. And my best example I can give you for that is, so my graduate advisor, he passed away 6 months before I defended. He was and the world was definitely a better place with him in it. I was getting towards the end of grad school. I was actually writing my thesis, and I was having a really hard time and struggling about whether or not I wanted to complete this degree. I just wasn't sure if I was on the right path. I didn't know. Something I'd been wondering about for a lot. And then I met my husband. Well, currently he's my husband now, but knew shortly after we met each other that this was something that was going to be a lifetime commitment, and he was moving to Montana, and I just wasn't quite sure how to make all of this work. And tried to hide it for a while, pretend like I had everything together. Of course, my advisor kind of saw through that. So I finally went in one day and fessed up and said, I'm just not sure what I'm doing anymore. I don't really know if I want to be here, and I was totally prepared for a lecture. You need to get your priorities straight. You need to focus on your graduate school. Yeah, you know, I was totally anticipating a ton of things that he would say. And he actually just kind of looked at me for a while and said, that's fine, Lori. Like, grad school may be right for you in a year from now, 6 months from now. Maybe it's never going to be right for you. And that's okay. The decisions you're making in your personal life are what are going to sustain you, and you better make good ones. And man, that is advice that I still think about today because I feel like that is the sort of mentor that I want to be. Like, I want to remember that. I want to keep that in mind, and I want to realize, like, we have all these priorities. Every day we're trying to do things. We're trying to get through school. We're trying to work. But we also have a lot of other things that we are. We're not just students, right? We're so many different things. And so I think it's important that we remember that, too, and understand that we all have really big priorities in our life. So one of the things we want to talk about is, like, for all of you, what is a mentor? Like, for you guys right now. If you're working with grad students, maybe that's it. Maybe it's a PI. But what are mentors for you? Like, what do they do? What do they offer for you? Okay. Yep, professional development. Anybody else? Yep. Yep, so they can fulfill a variety of roles, huh? And I think that that's really important to remember is that for all of us, like mentors can be very different things. And it depends where we are, it depends where they are. And this one is really key. Like there's no standard mentoring relationship really. And this is what I think makes it so difficult to try to learn mentoring skills. It's not really something that can be easily taught. It's something that you just go through with experience and you find out what works, what doesn't, what you need to do, what you want in a mentor. And we'll get to that as we go through this, this presentation here. But I think that that's really important to think about, like what it is for you and what do you need? What are you hoping for? What do you want to get out of it? So I know that we're going to talk a little bit more about from a mentee perspective, but from a mentor perspective, there's a lot of things that we get out of it. Like when I mentor students, I have to tell all of you, with working with all of you, it's pretty exciting to see like what is going into the world now. Your passion, your enthusiasm. Most of you want to continue on in grad school, vet school, medical school. And it's pretty amazing to see this new group of students moving through with so much excitement and passion. I mean, it gives me, especially with a lot of things going on in the world today, it gives me a lot of hope. And I think that's great. I mean, I think that's really exciting. For me, I really enjoy working with the grad students, the undergrads. This program is so much fun. And I think that for me, I do feel like it enhances my skills. I feel like it challenges me. Like I'm looking at it in a very different perspective than I used to. And I'm always trying to figure out, how can I be better at this? What skills do I need to develop? What do I need to do to help my mentees be successful? And so we're just going to go through this really briefly, but there are a lot of different stages, and the reason I bring this up is that I think that it's important for you to recognize that, like with any relationship, you're going to have some bumps. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. It may not always be fun, and it may not always be good, but that's okay. That's how we all learn together. So initially, you're going to meet someone. If you haven't been assigned a mentor yet, you will be. And it takes a little bit of time, right? It takes some growth, takes some maintenance to work on that relationship, to build it. Yeah.
If you had a mentor last year, is it the same one, or are we getting assigned?
Oh, alerts?
Yeah.
Yep, you'll be most likely with your same one as far as I know, right?
Yeah, there's a couple people who are switching,
Yep.
but
Only because, yeah, a couple people because we have, because Erin has moved and we have a new alert on and Rebecca has left, so there's been some shuffling around. Yep, but there will be, I believe there will be meetings coming up, right? Interviews? Yeah, so, yep. So you have this growth and maintenance, and then you have times where, this is what I was referring to, you know, you're going to face challenges together where maybe your goals aren't lining up. Maybe you're going through something that you're not ready to share with your mentor, or maybe your mentor is dealing with something. All of these things can manifest themselves and impact a relationship. And it's good to be aware of those. And it's important to remember, too, that, you know, if you don't tell your mentor, they can't help you. So it's definitely in your best interest. You know, if you don't want to go into too much detail, I get that. I'm a very private person when it comes to my personal life. But if it's something that's challenging and you need to say, look, I'm going through a rough time right now, then, you know, you should definitely say that. And then a lot of these may lead longer, like your advisor in graduate school. A lot of these might be more short term. Maybe you're going to work for a semester with a graduate student and move on. And those, definitely try and learn, like, and get your skill set, everything that you can from those relationships and those mentoring experiences. And hopefully they'll end good and you can move on and learn skills and then work with someone else. So yeah, like I was just saying here, I mean, this just kind of sums up that these don't occur at any specific time point, landmark. You're going to move through these at your own pace, working together with your mentor. And that's important. And your mentor should be aware of that and should help guide you through those. And you should not feel any rush to move on when you are not ready. So this, I just wanted to mention that as we were talking about at the beginning of this, that there can be a lot of different things that a mentor provides. It could be your work-life balance. It could be professional development. It could be enhancing your knowledge. and technical expertise. So this, again, might be your grad students, it might be your PIs, it might be like another faculty member that maybe you're taking a class from, maybe you're not, that you had a class with that you know really well, and they can lend some advice. I mean, there's all different levels here. So this is a section that I think it's really important, especially for mentees. So whether or not you have a mentor right now or you're looking to work with one, it's important to really remember, what do you want to get out of it? And what do you want your mentor to do to help you get to where you'd like to be? So think about when you meet somebody, or if you're looking at research projects, you know, talk to people who know this student or who know this professor. Is this somebody that you think you'll work well with? Like, do they have the time? I mean, the time commitment's a big one, and sometimes a professor may not have one that semester, may not be able to take somebody into the lab until later. There are a lot of things to consider to make sure that it's a successful pairing. Since NIH supports us, they recommend a few things here about finding a research mentor. I actually had never heard of it, called ego strength. I thought that was an interesting way to put it. I think this one is a really big one, because you want to be able to disagree with somebody, or you want to say, no, I don't think that's right. Even if they have more experience, that's okay. I mean, you guys should be able to voice your opinions and say this. And it should not be personal. It should not be a hurtful thing. This should be a discussion that you can have, even if you guys don't agree. And then you have a lot of these other ones that if you're looking for a research mentor, you want them to be consistent, you want them to be available if you need to contact them, you want them to be open-minded, empathetic, understanding. A lot of this seems like, I'm sure that you guys have thought about this and you probably know it, but like I said, when I was there, it wasn't something I actively thought about at the time. It took a lot of, I guess, perspective later in life for me to realize those things. And again, some of the things we were talking about, like open, motivating, a good communicator, patient, honest, all of the traits that we aspire to, I think. And then where? So if you're not working with someone in a lab, this is something that BLAST will definitely help you with, or even if you have been working on a project and there are other ones. That is, in my opinion, one of the coolest things about this program is that there's so many opportunities to get involved and to find a research project that you like, and you could try something out for a week and then say, well, I think I'm going to move on and try this. And so it's really exciting, because when I was bumbling around trying to find what I was going to do and who I was going to work with and things like that as an undergrad, it definitely didn't feel like there was that channel to help me find it. It was me just sort of fumbling my way through school, hoping I met somebody that I liked, meeting people that I didn't like, that sort of thing. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, choosing a research mentor. So you want to interview your potential mentors. Talk to your friends. Find out if they have any experience with them. Talk to other graduate students. Like, it's really important to figure out if this is going to be something that is going to help you and provide you what you need. I don't know about checking. I mean, you could look the mentor's record CV. You could look up publications. I'm not sure. Like, aside from talking to mentees, how you're going to move forward. I guess aside from publications and talking with them, I'm not sure what else you could do, but those are still really important things. And like I said, discuss it with people and find out, meet with that person and find out if this is going to be a good fit for you. Take the initiative. Think about what you want, and really try and focus on what is it you want to get out of this and how can this person help you get there. And we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but setting realistic goals and timelines is really important. Make sure that you think about your expectations from each other, and this is where, for it to be a really good relationship, your mentor has to come in on that too, right? Like, they have to be clear about what they expect from you, just as you need to be clear about what to expect from them. And if in your meeting with them, it should be something that they bring up and say, okay, here's what you can expect from me, and here's what I can expect from you. And you should both be in agreement with that. Some people use mentoring compacts, I think that, or mentoring plans, whatever you want to call them, agreements. That's up to the two of you. I think that just make sure it's not going to scare somebody off. That's what I always think. Like, here's a contract. I want you to sign all this stuff away. I also work far more informally. but that's just me. I personally don't really like the contracts, but I do think meeting notes are good. I think figuring out what's going to best work for you, whether or not like maybe that's sharing notes on a Google Drive, maybe that's both of you just discussing it and say you're going to follow up and then revisiting it and one of you keeps notes, however it works. And we now have Cronus. Quite honestly, don't ask me yet about that because I'm still, I think Aaron's the only one who's actually done what he's supposed to. We're a little bit behind, but once it gets up and running, I think that will be a really great way to track all of this and to stay on top of things. And as I was saying, as you're doing all of these things, just make sure that, that you apply these SMART goals, that you're really thinking about specific, measurable, assignable, reasonable, and timely in your project. Who's doing this? Can we do this? When does it need to be done? Can I do this with my schoolwork? What is the timeline? When can I get this finished? Is this actually going to happen if I have 3 exams this week? You know, all of those sort of things that come into play because school, let's face it, I mean, you guys are all taking hard classes and they take a lot of your time. I mean, that's just the way it is, and that's makes sense. They should take your time, but be reasonable about those goals. And if it's something you can't finish that week or you're not able to put the time in to your project, then that's okay. Just say it. And hopefully your mentor will understand. So this is more on the mentor side, but you know, just communication, career and professional development, and the work-life balance. I mean, we were discussing this already a little bit. To make sure that you establish these expectations and that you're both very open about what you want. Identifying the gaps, resources, things like that. Like your mentor should be able to help you with all of this stuff and with helping you move into a more independent area, whether it's in research or personally. Again, career and professional development. This also is something that's so fun about BLAST because I think there are so many opportunities to travel, to present, to get support to do this. I remember the first time I did post a presentation, I thought it was terrifying. And it got easier for sure, but still getting up in front of people, despite how noisy and loud I am day to day, when people are actually listening, a little less excited. I mean, it makes me a little more nervous, but we all get there. And then your work-life balance. Like I said, I mean, I really carry that with me, what my advisor told me, and I try really hard to emulate that and to keep that with me because I think very few advisors would have responded that way. I'm always deeply grateful that he did because I'd like to believe I would have finished my degree either way, but quite frankly, I'm not totally sure what I would have done. I think that maybe that was a point in my life where I would have said like, well, fine, I'm not sure I want to do this. But I'm really glad I did because I was sure that there was some point where I was going to really wish I had because I was so close, and it was a lot of work. I worked full time during grad school, and it was not easy, but glad that I did it. And one of the other things too I wanted to mention here is that BLAST, we're trying to implement more mentoring activities for graduate students and undergraduates. So this is something that will be coming in the spring, which is why I chose to discuss this topic today. So be aware of that. We're going to try and provide more of these resources that we just discussed about time management and things like that, about expectations, how we can assist, how we can help. And lastly, I think some of the important things is that there may be a time when you need to change your mentor, and that's totally okay. I mean, it may be short term, it may be long term. But the important thing to keep in mind is that it's okay if it's not working, or if you feel like, okay, well, this is great for a semester, but there's someone else I want to work with that will really help me with where I want to be. That's fine. I mean, and I tell people a lot this too with their advisors, a lot of students, like if you get paired up and you don't feel like you work well with your advisor, or they don't understand where you're coming from, or you need more assistance. I had undergrads come to me with some of the challenges they were facing. Like, it's okay to say, I'm going to talk to a different advisor about this and see if we mesh better together. That's totally fine. You should feel free to do that. And then there are some things that are going to provide these barriers to effective mentoring. there might be a lack of commitment on both sides. Again, interpersonal styles. It's just, like I said, to get it to work, it's got to be a commitment on both parts, and you both have to put the energy in. If this is something that isn't working, definitely speak up and don't be afraid to do so. And I also encourage all of you, this is something I learned as I got older too, but whatever your weaknesses and strengths are, own them both. Like, we all have them. It's okay. Don't feel like you have to be good at everything or have to know the answer. I mean, the people I learn best from are the ones who say, like, I have no idea. Great question. That's interesting. Let's look it up. Let's check it out, but I don't know. And this one again, like, assess the relationship, figure out where you are, and try to really critically look at it. If it's not working, why isn't it working? What do you need to do? What does your mentor need to do? What should you guys change to make this a better pairing? And maybe it's simply that you change mentors. Hey, look at that. That was my presentation. So, oh, thank you.